On today's episode of Titus and Tate, at long last, Tate, Andrew Wiggins is respected
Yes.
by the NBA community. 8 years after he was taken number one in the it was 2014, right? That was his draft.
Yeah. And now he's officially Michael Jordan of Canada, right? Now he did it.
For if only for one moment in time. We figured out what it took for Andrew Wiggins to silence his critics. Again, if only for a moment in time, and it was dunking on the NBA's golden boy, Luka.
Yeah,
Doncic.
the critics' beloved child, Luka Doncic. You have to dunk on him, and then you're good.
And an act of basketball so unbelievable in the minds of the NBA Illuminati or who the powers that be that run the league, that the official watching it happen right in front of his face is like, that can't be right. That has to be a foul on Wiggins. That's the only thing that makes sense. That Luka, that this man who could jump out,
he even actually dunked the basketball, already caught an offensive foul. He's like, no way, get this out of my face.
That this man who is like 6'8" and can jump out of the one thing we know about him is he can jump out of the gym. It just does not compute that he could jump over a fat dude and dunk on him. There's no way. He had to have cheated in some. Huge win for white people though, Tate, on that one, that they assumed that like Wiggins cheated somehow, because it usually works the other way, that like Luka blocks his dunk. Ooh. And then the rest are like, there's no way.
No way. Definitely contact.
That's terrible. Yeah. Like Tyler Hero in the Celtics, who did he block? Where he chased? It was Marcus Smart, right? He had the chase down, and
yeah, it was Marcus Smart.
That was 100%. There's no way that white dude can. But as we said, Tyler Hero needs to be in White Men Can't Jump. He
should be the star of it. That was the opening scene of the new movie. Him blocking Marcus Smart.
The rest are like, there is no way this white dude pinned that on the glass. That's definitely a foul. Anyway, we're going to talk about Andrew Wiggins a little bit. We're going to talk about Luka. Does Luka need help? Luka might need help.
Yes, 100% needs help. Not after game 2, did not need help, but after game 3.
But now he needs help. It's looking like Luka might need help. And speaking of Marcus Smart, shout out to him for breaking his ankle in half and then coming back out. Shout out to Jason Tatum
for getting jealous of that moment and saying, yes, I will one up that moment.
I want to talk about that. And I realize that most people listening, it's going to be outdated because the Celtics and Heat play game 4 tonight, and the Celtics are going to win. And then all the Boston media machine is going to talk about how the Celtics are back, and the Celtics are clearly the better team. And now the series is over, and yada, yada, yada. But for our purposes today, Tate, I want to laugh at how preposterous that game 3 was, of every Boston Celtics player
that happens with the news cycles in the NBA playoffs. We acknowledge that and we laugh at it and we have fun with it, but everyone else, they take it very serious, as if they didn't say 2 days prior that Luka Doncic was better than Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Yeah, right.
I don't know.
So for this moment in time, I want to laugh at every Boston Celtics player flopping around on the ground, looking like they were going to be dead, and then finding the strength in the back tunnels of TD Garden.
Yeah, and they gave the credit to adrenaline, so it was a big week for adrenaline. They're like, actually going through protocols. His ankle is a lot more severe than we thought, but adrenaline got him.
Adrenaline is the drug of choice, I guess, in Boston. We're going to talk about that. I also want to hit a few other things with you that I'm going to surprise you on. So we'll see how much of that stuff we get to. All of that coming up. But first,
what are you doing?
All right, let's start off the top. Tate is in North Carolina. I think that's important to say for 2 reasons. One, I want to ask you something here in a second. But 2, right before we started recording, you said that there is a tornado warning.
Yes, happening. My phone started going off, and I thought it was like an Amber Alert sound. But upon diving in and seeing my mom comes downstairs with the dogs, there's an active tornado warning. So my mom and the dogs and my dad are now all downstairs, sitting right in front of me. I have a live studio audience here in North Carolina as a tornado is passing through. So this is, my parents wanted me to record and work from home. They're going to see it live and in person right now. They don't even have to listen to the podcast anymore, just one side of me talking into a microphone.
How common are tornadoes in Carolina?
They're more common than you think. You know what I mean? Like when I was a kid and I would watch Wizard of Oz and, you see the tornado, I thought that was possible and that could happen in North Carolina pretty easily. Not the level of Kansas, obviously, but we get tornadoes here. We get everything in North Carolina. Hurricanes, tornadoes, whatever you like, you can get it here.
Is that on the side when you drive in?
Yeah, if you're a storm chaser, just come here.
Just come to North Carolina. Are you the type of people that go out on obviously you're doing the show right now, but under different circumstances, Do you watch the tornadoes? That's how people were.
My dad drove home in the tornado warning, so I think
that's right. Yeah, we've talked about this before. Yeah, your dad is your dad's a real man. Coach Frazier's a real man. We know that.
No concern about the warning. But I would go outside if it was like, safe distance away and I could get a look at it. But the movie Twister really haunted me from the idea of going to chase down a storm. You know what I mean? That's terrifying stuff. I can't see myself in a roadside ditch, hiding out from the tornado. That's not really me.
The Midwest is in the Midwest, you go out and you watch the tornado, and God forbid, like the tornado starts coming at you. Then like the way it would work for a Midwestern man is he would go outside when he hears there's a tornado, he'd go outside and watch it all the way up until the tornado is like 100 yards away. And then the tornado would like some sort of debris would hit him. Like he would survive, obviously, but like there would be some sort of trauma. And then when he's telling the story to his buddies, he would blame the tornado or blame, like he would put the blame on it. He's like, I did what I did every other storm. I don't understand what was different about this one.
Me and Martha go outside. We take a look every single time.
It was bullshit. It was heading west, and then all of a sudden it turns north. And like, how was I supposed to know? The
south of the north. You know what I mean? It's similar tendencies.
And you're listening to the story, and you're like, Jason, why didn't you just like go into your basement? And he's like, what? No, I would never do that. What the hell would I do that? What do I look like?
Man.
Anyway, I was going to ask you, with you being in North Carolina, I wanted to start the show asking you this, a vibe check. What is the vibe? When did you get to Carolina? A couple days ago?
Sunday. So I was supposed to fly out Saturday morning, and then I woke up Saturday
the tornadoes.
Well, Delta had just changed my flight. They canceled the flight to North Carolina and moved me to the next day. So if I had something to do Saturday night, Delta said, we don't care. We don't care. We'll see you Sunday morning at 6 a.m. So I woke up yesterday at 3:30 a.m. in the morning in Los Angeles, got to the airport, flew across the country, got to North Carolina, got to see the family for one night. But the vibe check is pretty much this. Everything's going great here. You know what I mean? Minus the tornadoes, obviously. The tornadoes are not what I wanted to see or what I expected to see, but everything else is
well. I was curious, just the having your boots on the ground there. What is the vibe in the sense of North Carolina basketball, and that are we still reeling? Are we still basking, I guess, in the glory of the last month of the season that the Tar Heels got to beat Duke twice, go on this incredible run to the national title game, beat UCLA along the way, Baylor. It wasn't just Duke. There's a lot of fun moments. Leaky Black throws a pass off the backboard.
That's the
we
one
all remember.
That in your mind, yes.
Do you feel like we are still focusing on that and enjoying that for a little bit longer, or is it now we have moved forward and we are looking forward to next season because the Tar Heels are probably going to be number one? Matthew Meyer just said that he's coming back to college. He's going to transfer from Baylor. A lot of folks are circling North Carolina because they lost Brady.
Caleb Love on Instagram today.
Yeah. Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Big news. The one question mark the Heels have going into next year is how do you replace Brady Manick? And you say to yourself, just get the other stretch four white dude with goofy hair and So what say you? Where's the vibe check on that? Are we still hanging the banner? Are we still pulling on the rope that's hanging the banner from last year, or is the banner now up and we're looking forward to next year?
I just think that a lot of the flags that I saw in the neighborhood of the Duke flag seem not to be out. They've changed to American flags or what other Memorial.
The tornadoes got them. The tornado came through and just ripped all the Duke flags.
I don't see the Duke flags that I saw a lot last time I was here. I don't know what's going on there, but I will say there just seems to be a certain level of security in North Carolina with North Carolina basketball right now. We were in a bit of a dark spot. We had about 10 years of Coach K getting preferential treatment. The PR of Duke basketball. So I just think that we're all secure knowing that one, that storm has passed, and two, the storm is never going to come again, Titus. We think. Now, you and I have talked about potentially it rising back and coming back, but I think there's we're in the eye of the storm maybe. There's a sense of calm and peace knowing that one, the witch is dead, you know what I mean? To take it back to Wizard of Oz, the witch is dead and we are all celebrating right now and enjoying ourselves. But Another storm may pass through, and then we have to saddle back up and figure it out. But right now, it's nice. Right now, it's all chill. And honestly, everyone is in good spirits because even the Duke fans hung two banners. You know what I mean? They have decided to disassociate from reality that they lost to North Carolina in the Final Four. So
what banners?
They hung a Final Four banner and a Coach K's final season banner. Yeah,
that can't be right. They only hang title banners, don't they?
Well, that's what their former coach, Mr. K, said. But Mr. K was not right about that. I like calling him Mr. K, by the way. I think for whatever reason, it just has a funny ring to it. My mom is laughing at Mr. K.
I was trying to think of all the Wizard of Oz references.
There's so many.
And then trying to segue into Andrew Wiggins somehow with Kansas. And I came up with nothing. And instead, what you're hearing is me pivoting the conversation away from tornadoes and Wizard of Oz and towards Andrew Wiggins, who dunked all over Luka Doncic, who has now helped the Golden State Warriors take a 3-0 lead on the Dallas Mavericks. Again, we're recording this, what is it? It's Monday afternoon. So that was the game we watched last night. I want to talk about it. Feels like Wiggins is kind of the focal point.
He's the belle of the ball right now.
Yeah. Like that seems to be, if we're going to talk about this series, he's the guy that we should probably be talking about because it's a great opportunity to look back on his arc throughout the NBA and not even that, throughout his 1 year at Kansas where they lose to Stanford in the second round without Joel Embiid and the hype that he had coming into Kansas where he was the number one recruit in the country and the best recruit we've seen since LeBron James until Jabari Parker reclassified. Or no, Wiggins, it was the other way around. Jabari Parker was the number one recruit. Yeah. That's how good Wiggins was. Jabari Parker was the number one recruit in the country, the best recruit since LeBron James. We've never seen anything like this guy. It is the Jabari sweepstakes has everyone losing their minds. And then Andrew Wiggins reclassifies, and the guy who was the best player since LeBron is now the second best player in the class because the other guy who's the best player since LeBron.
It was a very Chet Holmgren, Amani Bates situation where we had, and Jalen Duren, where there were so many number ones, you couldn't keep your head on a swivel as to how every single top prospect was the next LeBron and also the best player.
That was the canary in the coal mine that these recruiting services have lost their goddamn minds, and we should all bail on them, but we haven't, and we're still here in 2022. And I'm hitting refresh, and I'm like, oh my god, how many number ones this year? That's crazy. What a loaded class.
And Wiggins was the first one I remember. It was just dragging out into the summer. I was like, you can wait this long to commit to a school, and turns out you can wait all the way until past the actual registration date, thanks to Amani Bates. That's how far.
As an aside, I had this thought the other day, and I've probably shared this thought on the podcast, but I rethought it the other day. There are way too many 5 stars. We got to clean that up. We got to clean up the star system. This is a great opportunity, us as a basketball community, to blow up the star system and come up with something better because they're well over 25 stars in every single class.
There should be 10 5. There should be 10 5.
There should be 10
in every class.
Yeah, at most 10.
At most.
And it should
be shocking that there's 13 or 14. When there's years there's 13 or 14, it's like this class is just so loaded. We had to have this.
Yes. There's nothing we could do. Our hands were tied. We've never seen anything like this. Yeah, I guess that's probably how it used to be. You look up the 2004 recruiting class, there's probably 3 5 stars.
Yeah, Street and Smith magazine, back in the day, they're like Rick Mount 4 stars, 4.5 stars. Get a 5-star was hard.
We need a star inflation expert on the show to explain to us the difference between a 5-star in 2006 versus 2023. But then the other part, they only go down to 3 stars. So you hear about these guys that are 0-star recruits. They're not actually 0-star recruits. They're, they were
just unknown. They were not, in these services, right?
They were probably surely they were a 1 or a 2-star recruit. If you get a scholarship to play Division I basketball, you have to be at least a 1-star recruit.
Yeah.
0-star recruits don't get recruited at all, right?
Exactly. But I always liked that Scout used to have 1-star, 2-star,
right.
It would be not ranked, but you'd still be a 2-star. You'd be not ranked and you'd be a 3-star. And then it felt like we got into participation trophy land where we're just okay,
that's exactly it.
No stars or your 3 stars or above. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, every guy,
the 1-star.
Every guy that was a 2-star or 1-star that had success would then shit all over the recruiting service that said, how's that for 1-star? And it's like, well, you were CJ McCollum. I'm sorry to say, we all saw the picture of you with Costa Koufis. You're 5'6".
You look like a 1-star.
Yeah, you're a 1-star guy. I don't know how else to explain it, CJ. It's not. had we known you were going to hit puberty at the age of 21, and like maybe we would have given you a star or two. But anyway, enough about that. Back to Andrew Wiggins. So Andrew Wiggins, I do remember him as a guy who, even as we look back on the absurdity of what the recruiting services have become, he's a guy that has withstood the test of hype, the test of time as it pertains to hype. That, like, it's still, I look back 8 years ago and the Andrew Wiggins hype cycle, even on the heels of all the different Kentucky classes that have come since then, and the Duke classes, certainly the Zion, RJ, Cam Reddish class. Since all of that, I still vividly remember the Andrew Wiggins experience and the amount of hype that he had. He was unbelievable at Kansas. Had a great season at Kansas that no one will acknowledge as a great season, because the way
act like he didn't play. The people act like he, Michael Porter Jr. did or Kyrie did and didn't even play that year, when obviously Joel was more in that camp. But Wiggins was great,
or that Ben Simmons did, just was like half-assing the whole time and missed the tournament, and he. And it brings me to the point I want to make about Andrew Wiggins, because I have always liked Andrew Wiggins. I have always enjoyed watching Andrew Wiggins play basketball. I remember watching him at West Virginia. Didn't he have like 41 at West Virginia? That was like his big game that stood out to me.
And he went to Huntington Prep in West Virginia, so it was kind of like a homecoming game. Well, he's not from there.
Well, the whole narrative around the guy was that he's too passive. He doesn't care. He's just kind of out there going through the motions, and a lot of it's warranted. We can kind of suss out some of the different things that were fair criticisms, not fair criticisms, whatever. But the dude scored 41 in Morgantown. That's insane. That doesn't happen. And it was at a time when, like, West Virginia, it was press Virginia. It was all we ever heard about West Virginia was how great their defense was. And this man scored 41 points as a true freshman in Morgantown, West Virginia. Was it 40? I keep saying 41. That's what sticks out to me. I need to look that up.
But it's also one of those things where when he did that, it kind of solidified all of the hype that was happening around him the summer before, because there was a lot of people that hadn't seen Andrew Wiggins play basketball. In fact, I remember when he came on his visit to North Carolina. I was in college at the time, and when he was on campus, I mean, there were signs everywhere. People were trying to get his attention. People were trying to convince him to come play at North Carolina, and he went to a Carolina game that night. And I asked James Michael, I'm like, what do you think about Wiggins? Do we have a shot? And he was like, he did not seem interested at all. He's like, he's stone cold faced the entire time. So, I mean, I think that was also one thing that a lot of people didn't get about Wiggins, was they didn't understand kind of his demeanor, or they didn't understand his personality, or they didn't know kind of what got him to tick. And I think the best thing about the Warriors, from his prep days, is the fact that he gets to play team basketball, and now we get to see what actually makes the guy tick, which is playing basketball amongst other people that won't share the ball. And then sometimes that supreme athleticism can stand out, and he can dunk on someone like Luka within the context of a game, but you don't have to go to him and say, hey man, be Kobe Bryant, which I felt like early on everyone wanted him to be Kobe Bryant.
Listen to this stat line. I just pulled it up. First of all, it was 41 points. So I'm going to go ahead and pat myself on the back for that memory. Good job, Mark. You did it. You won't hear the haters talk about that, but no. I remembered that he scored 41. 41 points on 12 of 18 shooting, Tate. Played 39 minutes. 2 for 5 from the three-point line. 8 rebounds, 2 assists, and get this, 5 steals, 4 block shots. Now, granted, he fouled out and he had 4 turnovers, but my God, to go on the road and do that.
The steals cancel out the turnovers, so
go. And I remember
turnovers clean.
West Virginia won the game, by the way, and I remember that West Virginia team being better than that. So maybe that's part of it. Maybe that's like part of the Andrew Wiggins experience. Is like he has that great thing, but he has that great game, but he doesn't win. Embiid didn't play, by the way. Anyway, I just wanted to kind of. Yeah, we kind of already said it. I've always enjoyed watching Andrew Wiggins play basketball. There always has, I will say, there's always been some part of you that watches him and hopes that there's a little bit more. There's always been that. I don't know what that is. Like, I think you would point to him being passive. I think like that seems to be.
People want him to be an alpha. You know what I mean?
Yes.
They want him to have that killer mentality, whatever you want to call it. But. And he has it in moments, you know what I mean? He's just not that guy every single night that you're like, hey, you're going to bring this kind of moxie that we need. And it's nice that he finally gets to play within a role, and then he can expand that role when he wants to, which is why we're enjoying watching it.
The whole idea of criticizing, like Andrew Wiggins has never brought any of this on himself, to my knowledge. Like the guy, most basketball fans don't even know what his voice sounds like. He's not really out there talking shit in interviews. He's not pumping his own tires. He's never ever been that way. he gets drafted to Cleveland. Or he's going to go number one. The Cavs get the number one pick that year. As an Ohio guy that was a bandwagon Cavs fan, there was talk about LeBron maybe coming back to Cleveland. I started connecting the dots. I was like, oh my God, you're going to have LeBron come back to Cleveland. Then his sidekick on offense is going to be Kyrie Irving. His sidekick on defense is going to be Andrew Wiggins. That team is going to be so good. LeBron is going to play until he's 50 because as he gets older, he's going to stay in Cleveland until he's 50 because as he gets older, he's going to let Kyrie carry the offense, Andrew Wiggins carry the defense, and then he gets in where he fits. And
he's like their mentor on both sides, and he gets all the credit for kind of shepherding guys along.
I got so excited for what that team was going to look like. I got so excited for the idea of Andrew Wiggins getting put in a position where he's going to be drafted number one overall, but he's playing alongside two other guys that were drafted number one overall, so he doesn't have to.
He didn't have the pressure of it. Yeah,
he has no pressure. It was like, this is a perfect situation for Andrew Wiggins. You cannot script this any better. And LeBron is now traded him to Minnesota, where he's going to flounder the wilderness.
Someone came to LeBron with what you just said, and he said, "Okay, Kevin, now."
Yeah. No, that's cool. That sounds cool. But so Kevin, what are you thinking about? Oh, so Andrew Wiggins is good. So you do think we can get Kevin Love then? If we can flip,
yeah, he's like, he's that good. We can get Kevin Love. Perfect.
Was that the first instance of flipping an asset? Andrew Wiggins? Was that when we first? That wasn't a trade. That was a flip. We flipped Andrew Wiggins to Minnesota.
So some NBA people got really mad at me because you asked me what flipping was. Like you were like, "What is the exact definition?" And I gave some vague response like about what I thought it would mean. And then there were a bunch of NBA people that came at me. They're like, "That's not what flipping is. Let me tell you what flipping is." And I was like, you guys are way too lost in the sauce. What you're saying, which is like,
what do you say? When you have an asset,
before even the asset is in house, you are flipping. You know, you bring an asset in to then flip that asset. You know what I mean? You don't have someone like Tobias Harris is what we were talking about. And I was like, you flip him into something. They're like, no, you cannot flip him.
You can't flip. There's got to be something between a flip and a trade though. Like, what about a guy that you signed for the second half of a season for a championship run, and then now you're
now you're flipping? No, you're trading.
Are you flipping or are you trading?
Let's do flipping or trading.
Is that a flip or is that a trade? So Wiggins, like his NBA career right out of the gate is there are it's not unfair. It's a business. It's professional basketball. I'm not gonna cry for Andrew Wiggins, but like the setup he was supposed to go to was going to be great. He gets a different setup. The man never changed in like how he approached the game, how he played the game, anything. Like he's been pretty consistent from my perspective. And granted, I haven't watched every single Andrew Wiggins NBA game. There are going to be people that have followed his career closely that are going to tell me I'm wrong. But from my perspective, he's seemed pretty consistent with how he approaches basketball, which is like, if you're someone that wants more out of him, you're going to continue to want more out of him every single year in Minnesota. He's never at any point in time done an interview where he comes out and he's like, I've gotten so much better this offseason. My haters are going to be sucking it all season because I'm going to average 30 a game. We're going to win the title. Kiss my ass. Like, he doesn't do that. He's just like, yes, it's me again. Remember me from last year? I'm Andrew Wiggins. I'm going to do what I did last year, and I'm going to do it again this year. And that's like been his attitude. And now finally he goes to, as you said, he gets put on a team with a structure that he should have had in Cleveland the first time. Yep. He's remained the exact same guy. He is now basically just like an improved version of what Harrison Barnes was for the Warriors. And it's
perfect. Like the Warriors needed a 3, right? They've always needed that small forward, and like they had Harrison, and Harrison was like one echelon below what they really needed to win, as we saw in 2016. Then they get Kevin Durant, who's like 10 echelons above what they should ever have as their small forward, with 2-3 Hall of Famers on their team. And Andrew Wiggins is perfectly in the middle of those two guys. You know what I mean? So it feels like they finally blended it together in the right situation. And when he got traded there, people were killing this man. They were like, Andrew Wiggins is a loser. Andrew Wiggins can never play in Warriors culture. Steph Curry will never go to the finals.
I've never understood that. I've never felt like he was like he gets treated like a locker room cancer, and I don't understand that at all. I mean, I do understand that he's not he doesn't have the Mamba mentality. He's not a Jordan, Kobe. I do get that. Like if you want to get on him for that,
he's Canadian. But what do you expect?
That's exactly it, Tate. That is exactly it. Is that Andrew Wiggins, his entire career, people have thought he's bad. He is not bad. He is Canadian. That's an important distinction that we need to make. That if this man was not drafted number 1 overall, no one would give a damn how quote unquote bad his career has gone. If he was drafted 4th or 5th or whatever else, And I sort of get, which isn't to say that we should be celebrating his career as like this huge, like if you were ranking the guys who've gone number one overall in the history of the NBA, he's probably at the bottom half of the list, I would assume. I don't know. I haven't put my rankings together. We're gonna do that next show.
Yeah, that's next show.
That's next show. We're gonna go through our
Greg Oden is surprisingly in the top half of my list. So
I got him number 3.
Yeah. Same.
When you look at his per 48 numbers,
what you can extrapolate out based on the numbers that we have. I mean, this guy's a Hall of Famer.
When you look at him and LaMarcus Aldridge and Brandon Roy going 57 and 12, I believe, when all three of them played together, I think you have to take that into account. And
that's
anyway, Andrew Wiggins isn't bad. He's just Canadian. And I think that's what we need to tell ourselves as a basketball community every time we watch.
Can I just be the quote card? Because I will say I laugh with Wiggins because when he dunked on Luka, I could see him being like, sorry. Yeah. Like he's so nice.
Says "ope." He says "ope" like that. Like when you're reaching for the same soup can at a grocery store, there's a lady that's reaching for you, like, oh, sorry, I'm gonna slide right past you here.
And it's the craziest part too is like, after the game they asked Wiggins, they're like, is this the best dunk of your career? And I appreciate his answer, which was basically like, I don't know, I've had a lot of pretty big dunks. And luckily some Warriors super fan like cut together an Andrew Wiggins like dunk montage, and it was 10 minutes. Titus, this man has dunked on Jokic over Jokic. Yeah. Like I mean, obviously we've seen it, but I'd forgotten how many of these posters he has had over the years. So the fact that everyone was so shocked that he did it in this moment too was so funny, because it just goes back to like the narrative of Andrew Wiggins has somehow shaped the perception of Andrew Wiggins as opposed to the basketball, which if you just watch the game, you'd be like, this guy scores 20 points a game, is a super freak athlete, and can dunk.
Great defensively.
Great defender.
Yeah.
Like doesn't do anything to hurt your team. In fact, does things to win you games, like offensive rebound. I mean, he does everything.
He's been the third best player in this series, and make no mistake about it. If
people say he's the most valuable because he's shutting down Luka.
Yeah, if the Golden State Warriors win the title, Andrew Wiggins is to thank for it. He's not the singular guy. You don't say that like Andrew Wiggins carried them to a title or whatever else. But if you run back this entire playoff run from the Warriors and Andrew Wiggins, God forbid, would have had a knee injury in game 1 of the opening round or something.
Yeah.
They're not winning the title. It's just simply not happening. And I get that like Jordan Poole is fun and he's been a fun addition to them, and Otto Porter's given them good minutes at times and he's been great. And Kevon Looney is like come out of nowhere. Like if you're talking about like the difference between the original iteration that we know and love of the Warriors to what they are now, you kind of point like all those different guys are they deserve their kudos in their own right, but Andrew Wiggins is the guy. He's the difference. He's the of all the non-core Warriors guys that have carried over throughout this entire quote unquote dynasty that they've had.
Yeah,
the biggest difference has been for this year's team has been Andrew Wiggins, and I don't know what that means ultimately for his legacy. I don't really give a shit about that kind of stuff, but like it's cool for this moment in time for a guy to have his moment in the sun, because I don't think he's been bad. Like that's what's crazy. It's not like he's gonna win Most Improved Player, so someone's gonna give him a Most Improved Player award next year. Like what the? I've been doing this. Yeah. It's like I've been doing this my whole life. I don't understand what's going on. They're like, well, now we like it, but now you did it against Lucas, so it counts, I guess.
That's what I was gonna say. I think that you mentioned like the most valuable in the series. This is the first year that the NBA loves to introduce things that everyone's like, did we want this? Who asked for this? Yeah. They have introduced these conference finals MVPs, and the Eastern Conference Finals MVP is the Larry Bird Trophy, and the Western Conference is the Magic Johnson Trophy. I think that Andrew Wiggins is going to win the Conference Finals MVP. I think he is going to win the inaugural Magic Johnson Trophy as the Conference Finals MVP, because Luka, very similar to LeBron, the fact that he's guarding him is the value and the response from our favorite NBA.
He's going to win the Kawhi Leonard Finals MVP deal, like
or the Andre Iguodala.
Andre Iguodala, yeah.
I mean, it's the same MVP. It's like you stop Luka.
Iguodala, but that's preposterous. It's
ridiculous. And the most ridiculous part about all this, and the fact that I'm just getting ahead of this, that Wiggins will win this award, is that Steph Curry is averaging 28 points per game in the series. You know what I mean? Yeah. And the same thing happened in 2015. The guy averages 28 points per game. When he crosses half court line, he has 4 or 5 guys with their eyes all on him, and then 3 guys that are wide open because of that. And yet when we give the trophy, we're like, nah, he's not the most valuable.
The Warriors are so fun to watch.
I am happy that we get to watch them and enjoy them without
Kevin Durant.
Kevin Durant.
Kevin Durant. Yeah. Yes. Say it, Tate. Kevin Durant ruined basketball. As more time goes by, I become more and more confident in that.
He ruined the Warriors. Like he ruined my version of like the Warriors that I knew and loved, like that I was excited about with Harrison and James. That whole group of like kind of underdogs, you know what I mean? That became top dogs. They just got completely washed out with being,
It's a shame that Kevin Durant doesn't care about what people think of him, which he's proven to us time and time. Which he's told many 14-year-olds on Twitter that he as he tweets at them. I don't care what you think.
I think that's why we understand we get where Kevin's coming from, because like we deal with the same clientele. You know, we're like, Kevin, that was not what you should have done there. We should be his advisors, his online advisors. We're like, Kevin, don't bark back here.
That's let that one go. That's you got to let that pitch. Sometimes you got to let strikes just go right down the middle of the plate, Kevin.
Yeah, don't get ready to do it today.
But I really do think his only path back, I know he cares deeply what I think about him. So Kevin, as you're listening to this, the only way you win me back in terms of like I respect his basketball talent. He's done enough to have my respect in that capacity. I don't mean to say that he's got to win me over there. The only way he can like undo ruining the National Basketball Association for multiple seasons to the point that we're still trying to get it fully back to what it was. He has to go to Seattle when they get the expansion franchise, and he has to win a title with them. That's the only way it can happen.
I like that.
That's it. And I think they're going to do it. I think Durant can use his the tail end of his career, like his window. We love windows on this show. His window closing. I think he can use that as leverage for the NBA to use. Like if he comes out and he's like, listen, I got like 5-6 good years left in me. We got to get Seattle a franchise now so I can go back. I think that would endear him to a lot of NBA fans, and that's how he wins. That's how it gets done.
And if he can't win a title, because it's too much to ask, obviously, guy towards Achilles. I mean, is playing with Kyrie Irving. Like, I mean, there's a lot of reasons that could stop him from winning a title at this point in time. The next best thing he could do is move Brooklyn to Seattle. Who needs the
whole franchise? Just the franchise. Okay,
move the franchise.
I thought you meant the whole borough.
Seattle's like, no. Please take the team. Move the Brooklyn Nets, get rid of the Nets, or maybe just like add another New Jersey Nets. I like the New Jersey Nets. I don't like the Brooklyn Nets. Let's take the Nets, move them to Seattle, make them the Sonics with Kyrie, with KD. Let's move them to Pacific Northwest, and I think we're happy.
The NBA would find a way to ruin it. Like the NBA would still mess it up and like make the new Seattle team be the Seattle Nets. And then
Seattle Nets.
The Seattle Nets.
Did you know, this is my favorite NBA, did you know that the Nets at one point, New Jersey was so like the ownership was so bad off and just strapped for money that they tried to sell the naming rights of the New Jersey Nets to Nike, and that the New Jersey Nets were going to be the Nike Nets?
The Nike Nets.
Have you ever heard this? This is
that's coming, by the way. I think that's coming. I think it's hilarious that the NBA is a league that will do it. I want to work for the league, because like any idea you have in one of those creative meetings, they write it down. Like, ooh, all right, yeah, let's figure that out. Let's see. So this is a league that there's no such thing as a bad idea. They just like throw shit against the wall left and right and see what sticks. But at the same time, the Utah Jazz cannot give up their name, the Utah Jazz, and give it back to New Orleans, because there's too much history at this point.
Dude, especially in a time where we're talking about appropriation, you know what I mean? Like for the state of Utah to try to claim that they are the Jazz, you know what I mean? Like with New Orleans sitting down there with the Pelicans name, because like if the Pelicans, we get rid of the Pelicans, it should have never been the name. If
that's Myrtle Beach, the only Pelicans I recognize are the Myrtle Beach Pelicans.
Facts.
Yes.
That is 100% facts.
Yes.
Shout out to Rafael Furcal, legend for the Myrtle Beach Pelicans. But if you could give them the New Orleans Jazz and give Utah a more fitting name, I don't know what it would be.
Crackers.
Yeah, there you go.
The Saltine Crackers. The Salt Lake Saltines.
That's a big brain idea that I think you put that out in a meeting, and who says no? You know what I mean? Like really, truly.
The Salt Lake Soakers. That is their name. That is.
Why aren't they the Lakers?
There you go, dude.
The Utah Lakers.
Right. Dude, the Lakers got to give up their team name. I don't know. The point is, it's
Los Angeles Stars.
The Los Angeles Stars.
And then the Salt Lake or Utah Lakers, and then the New Orleans Jazz.
What about the Los Angeles likes in terms of like all the people that live here are chasing likes on social media? The Los Angeles Lakers. The Lakers.
The Lakers. That's honestly a great name. The Los Angeles Lakers, the Utah Lakers, and the New Orleans Jazz. We just fixed the NBA. You're welcome.
So, and the Seattle Nets. The NBA is like, we'll do all of that, but still we're going to stick with the Seattle Nets.
Yeah.
Because we can't give up the Nets history.
I think that Nike should try to get the Blazers. The Nike Blazers is nice. I like that name. The Nike Blazers.
That is, it's literally their shoe, right? Don't they have a shoe?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They all
I was just
Blazers.
double checking. I'm like, wait a second. I know I was explaining your own observation to you, but I was trying to talk.
I was confirming.
Now wait a second. Nas is a rapper, right, Tate? You're like, yes, Titus, yes, that's true. I'm like, holy shit. Can we talk about Luka Doncic? Does he need more help? What's going on with Luka? Because I thought he had enough help to beat the Suns, and then now did they gut his roster? Did they flip all those assets? Like what happened?
There was a lot of flipping. Game 7 against the Suns and Game 1 against the Warriors.
What flipping? Luka. God, it's exhausting, man. Like he is LeBron in this sense. Like he's doing stuff that we haven't seen since LeBron at an age we haven't seen since LeBron or Jordan or whoever. Like he's on that level. We get reminded every time he scores 42 points in a playoff game and loses. That no one has done this at a level since LeBron or Jordan or Wilt Chamberlain or God knows who. The way that this man is most like LeBron, it has dawned on me after watching the Mavs lose Game 3 and they're on the verge of getting swept. Tate, is that he has entered the first iteration of LeBron on the Cavs phase, where every time he wins a playoff game, it's because of him and his greatness, and it's amazing how good he is, and this is incredible. And every time he loses, it's his bum ass teammates that can't step up, can't do anything. And in 2007, that felt applicable sort of for LeBron, but like now Jalen Brunson and Spencer Dinwiddie are being treated like they're Boobie Gibson and Larry Hughes.
Yeah. And Anthony Parker.
Yeah. And I don't, I mean, like, granted, yeah, like I'm going to go crazy because I realize that this is a point I've made 10 million times on the show, and I'm going to keep making it as long as the NBA playoffs keep happening and I keep witnessing the same thing happen in NBA media. But it really is like there's a line that's drawn of guys who might be future Hall of Famers and then everybody else. Like those are the two categories you get put in as an NBA player. Right. And then we look at every single team and we count up how many guys that might be Hall of Famers are on that team. And we've reached a point where if you're a guy who might be a Hall of Famer and you don't have another guy who might be a Hall of Famer, you have no help and your team sucks ass, and like it's malpractice what your front office has done to you to put you in this situation. Spencer Dinwiddie scored 30 points in a Game 7 like last week. Yeah. And I get they were blowing him out.
Bullock had 21 in Game 2 against the Warriors. Granted he was 0 for 10 in Game 3, you know what I mean? But yeah, it's wild.
I don't understand that part of it. And it's not Luka's fault. And I'm trying to get better at that because like part of me, I will tap my chest and say that I've taken it out on Luka, that I will watch Luka and I will cheer for his demise because like it becomes maddening to watch the way people talk about this guy, that if he scores 40 something, like what was the stat they said after Game 3 that like when he scores 40 in the playoffs, the Mavs are 2-6, I think.
2-6. Yeah.
Has it dawned on anybody else that maybe you should like not try to like get other guys involved more, like quit trying to do everything on your own, can we figure that part out? Like it's the same. And then everyone just makes the comparison to Michael Jordan when he comes into the league and he has to get over the hump. And remember when Jordan scored 63 in the Boston Garden? And it's like, yes. And we also remember that the Bulls never won shit until Phil Jackson came along and was like, Michael, you see John Paxson over there? He's wide open. Pass him the ball. Like
next winter is like, here's an offense that we're going to
run. And I'm not saying that Luka like is selfish and doesn't fit into that, but I'm saying the discourse is broken around Luka because like you can't look at that stat that the man scores 40 but is 2-6 and say he needs more help. Like any other sane basketball mind would be like, oh, so every time he gets other guys involved more, every time someone else can like step up and get involved, the Mavs win. And when Luka does everything himself, they lose. I don't know. Maybe let's try to figure out like a better combination of that, which is what they did in the second half of the Suns series. And they ran the Suns off the floor, made the Suns quit. They sunk the whole goddamn franchise. The Suns are going to blow it up and try to figure out where the hell they go from here.
Suns.
Yeah, he literally blew up the Suns. And then now we fast forward 3 games later, and we're back to where we were after game 2 in the Suns-Mavs series, where Luka has no help, and all these guys are bums. And Jalen Brunson, never mind. Remember how we all said you're going to get the bag this offseason? Give us that bag back. You're terrible.
Knicks don't need to sign him now.
Now, granted, Reggie Bullock did not play well in game 3, but like
Maxi Kleber, I mean, like the shooters for the team did not show up at home. Yeah.
Can we also point out that they made this man talk about his sisters getting murdered like 30 minutes before tip-off of game 3? What the hell was that? Like he wins the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar award. Like that's
awesome. Shout out to Reggie.
It's all fine. It's all very good, but also like maybe a little timing could have been nice. Can we give him the award on an off day? Why didn't he win it today? He's not playing today. Like he could have done it. Instead, they got Ernie Johnson asking him, like, hey, which one of your sister's murders impacted you more? Like, as he's getting ready. Like, what the hell is going on with that? I don't know.
No, it was ridiculous. And then also, like, in the game itself, not even, I don't need the.
Sorry, I apologize to Ernie Johnson. He did not ask that question. That made me, that was, I took my rain out on Ernie Johnson.
No,
that was not fair of me. That was unfair.
We love you, Ernie Johnson.
I take it back. I take that back.
Take that
Sorry,
back.
I apologize.
But it's also one of those things where, like,
strike that from the record.
If you watch the actual game, you don't even need to know that Luka's going to score 40 points and, like you said, the 2-6 record of that. If you just watch the start of the game and how he was dominating the ball and slowing the game down on offense, you knew from that point that this was not a good game for the Mavericks, and this is not how they need to play to win. You know what I mean? The ball needs to be moving. The ball needs to be popping. Luka does not need to be holding on to it for as long as he is until 6 seconds on the shot clock. And when they have struggled, that has kind of been the recipe to their, downfall. So as I was watching the first quarter in that game, I'm like, they got to pick this pace up. They got to get the ball out of his hands. So I didn't even need the final 40-point game to say this is why they lost that game. You know what I mean? I saw it early on in the game, and if you've been watching the Mavericks, if you're a Mavericks fan, you probably see that as well and understand that. And Luka knows that. He said it after the game. He was like, I need to get the ball popping. I need to get the ball moving. You need to get other guys involved.
Right.
And he's like, but then he also has, like you said, the Jordan 63 game. He was like, but I'm still young. I'm still learning.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He knows. They know. Jason Kidd knows. The worst part about this game 3 was after the game, all the like Luka said, the dunk from Wiggins was pretty incredible, which in one respect I'm like, respect. In another respect, I'm like, why are you giving credit to your opponent down 3-0 right now? Dorian Finney-Smith was like, that's just Steph, like he that's what he does. I respect, Jason Kidd was like, nobody expected us to be here. All these reporters had vacation. So that's really what I didn't like about the Mavericks after the fact was that they seemed okay with kind of the way things had turned out.
They're now hanging a banner, and they went from like,
now, we made the conference finals. So
instead of saying we beat the Suns, if we can beat the Suns, who were the best team in the NBA all year, we can obviously beat anybody. Let's go win this thing.
Yeah,
it's like, well, we beat the Suns. That was pretty good, right?
Exactly. That was basically the post game from everybody, which I find. I mean, in one sense, it was shocking, but in another sense, it reminded me, and we were texting last night, it reminds me of 2007 when LeBron went to the actual finals, and he was going up against the Spurs.
Yeah.
And by the time they got to game 3 and the Spurs got up 3-0, it was basically LeBron's, and he wasn't even doing this, but it was the media's chance to be like, LeBron needs help.
Yeah.
Here's why he's here. You know what I mean? Here's what he needs to work on. The problem is Cleveland. The problem is not LeBron. And I think that's where we're going to be all offseason with the Mavericks. You know what I mean? It's going to be Dwight Powell's not good enough. The Mavs need to sign a big man. So, I mean, because they're really getting killed on the inside, which is the irony of this entire series and the irony of the entire Warriors franchise right now is that they're beating teams inside out, and they were known for beating teams with the 3-point line, but they're actually playing like a totally different game that the Mavericks can't answer. The Mavericks are actually losing because they're living and dying by the 3, and the Warriors are not. Yet no one has said that once about this Warriors team because all we can ever talk about is, man, them Splash Brothers and Jordan Poole.
Yeah, exactly.
Like Looney and Wiggins are winning these games on the glass. And the Mavericks have to match that at some level, and they haven't been able to. So
the Warriors are so fun to watch, man. Like part of me wants to quote unquote hate them because who wants to cheer for the team that's always winning or whatever. But without Durant on the team, they are back to just his level. I mean, like Draymond obviously is Draymond, and we you love that guy, you hate him.
It's one or the other.
I'm probably slightly. I don't hate him, but I like. he annoys me a little bit because I think it's very calculated, and I don't think it's as raw and authentic as, you know, like I think he knows exactly what he's doing with the refs, and it's a whole you know, the idea of Draymond Green being the most authentic guy in the NBA, I call shenanigans on that, but at the same time, he doesn't anger me. I don't like I do enjoy.
The only thing that gets me about Draymond is like Gabe Vincent in the Boston series in Game 3. He gets a technical foul. He literally goes to the ref. He's like, "What?" And he gets teed up. Draymond Green will go in their face, like pointing at them, threatening their lives.
Oh, I genuinely believe Draymond. I genuinely believe he gets techs on purpose early in the game because he knows that he's daring the refs to toss him out of the game, because he knows like once he gets a tech, he can just do whatever the hell he wants. Like he had a dunk. So he gets a tech in Game 3, and then there was a dunk where he does the fake hand. Like they'll do that from time to time where he catches it sort of on the elbow, sort of by the top of the key, and he does like Steph will come around on a curl, and he does like a fake handoff, and then like Draymond's defender jumps out to guard Steph, and he just takes a dribble and hammers it home for a dunk. So he does that after he gets a tech. This was like probably because I forget when he got the tech. I'm trying to think back, but he does it not long after he gets a tech, and he just swings on the rim, and he's got two, and then he lets go one hand, and he's swinging, and I swear he grabbed his at one point, and, like flipped off the Mavs bench, and then he lands. And I was like, he must have hung on the rim for like 7 seconds. And I'm not a guy that thinks that hanging on the rim should be a tech. I'm not arguing that it should. Like I'm not that old yet. I will be at some point. I'm not there yet. All I'm saying is that like that, if that happens and Draymond Green hasn't already been teed up, that's 100% a tech. But he already had one, and he knew that they weren't going to toss him for hanging on the rim. So he was like,
there is gamesmanship to that, because in one sense, like Giannis Antetokounmpo is a good example of this, because Giannis knows that if he just got called for a charge on the last possession, they're not calling it the next time.
Right,
so that's why he comes even harder the next time. It runs over you the next time, because he's like, they're not going to call back-to-back charges on me. Which, like, there's a gamesmanship in that, which I like. You have respect for, but at the same time, like you said, it's not as authentic.
Right.
I understand that.
So now, as he keeps doing this, like he's gonna get teed up in game. Well, actually, this series is kind of over. Game 1 or Game 2 of the finals, he's gonna get teed up early in the game. He's gonna like go to the ref and be like, "What did I say? What did I do? What me? Who me?" But all the while, I'm gonna know that was like calculated, and that was like part of his strategy. Was
Marcus Smart is the exact same thing. I have a respect for Marcus Smart and the fact that he's able to manipulate a game in his favor, but at the same time, you're like, this is all manufactured and like on purpose, you know? Even the hero block, the chase down block we talked about earlier, Marcus dips his head back into hero,
throws his head.
That's the contact. And then that's what the foul is, which is like, it's smart because you're like, if I go for a layup and I throw my head back, I'm going to get contact. But at the same time, you're like, that's not a natural basketball motion that would happen there unless you knew that you were going to have some. I don't know.
This is the great tug of war of going on with basketball is who's at fault for all the flopping? Who's at fault for the charge calls? Is it is it the players for doing it, or is it the refs for calling it? Is it like where is the line between
the NBA for enabling it?
Yes. Is it smart, as you said? Is it a smart move, or is it a Bush League move? That is the fuzzy territory we live in. This is the Brad Davison conversations are all the same as well. It's like him flopping around. And if you talk to Brad, he's like, listen, man, they're going to call it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to do it all the way until I can't do it anymore. Until I'm going to be flopping at YMCA leagues well into my 50s. This is who I am. As long as they're calling it, I will keep doing it. It's not my fault. And you kind of that's why like Brad won me over, because like we've had him on the show. I've talked to him in private a handful of times. We saw him at the Final Four. He's like, he'll take a charge. He took a charge in a 3-on-3 game at the Final Four that we were calling.
Yeah,
never had like
told us he was going to do it.
The first, I think it was the first help side charge that's ever been taken in the history of 3-on-3 basketball. And as he falls down, he's starting to get up. He turns and he points to both of us over at the broadcast setup, and he's like, "How about that one?" Because he knows what he's like squints getting Wendy Peppercorn to give him mouth to mouth, and he's like winking at his boys, like, "How about that one?" And when he does like that, it wins me over, because I'm like, yeah, I guess I sort of get your perspective that like pull, because you're gonna get away with it, but then as a viewer, you get so annoyed by it, and I don't know, what I'm saying, Tate, is this Boston Celtics team has broken my brain because like I get so I can confess that if they were wearing different jerseys and they were all behaving in the exact same manner, I would be 30% less annoyed. I will admit that. It's definitely that it's partly that that they are Celtics players that's what drives me crazy. But my God, I have officially reached my limit on Jason Tatum getting stripped by Victor Oladipo and then falling to the ground, holding his shoulder like he's dead. And then I don't want to be dramatic, but like I really don't think I'll ever forget that about Jason Tatum.
Smart
really
to me, like I saw Smart's ankle turn the opposite way, and I understand like we've all turned our ankle. I understand like the adrenaline. I actually understood the adrenaline conversation with Smart a little bit more. I'm like, I get it. He has that moment, but he's also like doesn't take his shoe off. It doesn't swell up. He kind of just runs, gets his legs back under him, and finishes the game. Okay, I understand that. But with the Tatum thing, that was the one where I was like, wow, we have kind of lost. And you look, again, it's the only way. My mama would always say this, like I would get hurt in games when I was little. Like I would get hurt like when I was losing, and my mom say, "Are you hurt or are you feeling hurt?" You know what I mean? Like and it's one or the other. You know, are you actually hurt or are your feelings hurt? And I felt like a lot of that game was like Tatum's feelings were hurt. And then like that moment happened, and I'm sure he's got like his shoulder probably is a little bit beat up, and he probably got an awkward angle, and it probably hurt him. And you know, I'm not saying
I am saying that
your feelings were more hurt in that moment, and I don't know. It's and to go back to what you're saying about the gamesmanship, one of my coaches always used to say back, we played this private school, and they were a very Duke-like team. They were taking charges on us. They were doing all just like the annoying stuff, picking us up full court and everything, and just doing a lot. And he said, look, they're making the smart play, right? We have to give this team credit. They're making the smart play, but it doesn't mean it's the right play, right? And I think that is what I see a lot with the Celtics and the Miami Heat. I don't want to put it just on the Celtics. The Heat do the same thing. And Kyle Lowry is another one of those guys in that group where it's like, that's a smart play based on the rules. You've manipulated that moment in time. Good for you, but it's not the right play for the good of the game. And the NBA doesn't care about the right play because they don't care about the good of basketball.
Of course,
you know what I mean. They really don't. Of course. They care about the smart play. You know, pun intended there. And that's the world we live in. So like you said, it's hard sometimes because you're like, I'm upset, but you also have to respect the fact that, hey, you know, you're doing something to help your team win. So I get it. Damn, that couldn't be me.
It makes me angry too because I realize how hypocritical I am because we were talking about it last week. I love Grant Williams. I still love Grant Williams. He has a chance to go down as one of the biggest floppers in the history of basketball. Like when you factor in his college career and his pro career, I mean, this man's been doing it at a high level for a very long time. He is
that guy.
He's him. He's the him of flopping, Grant Williams. There's no question about that. But I forgot. Gotcha. You brought up Pivot. So here's what I was gonna say was the fact that I realized that Grant Williams is just as bad, if not worse, than Marcus Smart, but for some reason, I don't mind when Grant Williams does it. I do mind when Marcus Smart does it. It makes no sense. I'm a hypocrite. I understand, but that's where I've arrived. And instead of taking personal responsibility and saying like, Mark, why don't you sort out your own feelings on this whole matter? I want to just point the finger at those two guys and say, why don't they sort it out? And why don't they clean up their act so I don't have to pick which one I like and which one I don't?
Facts. No, I'm right there with you. And there are moments where I'm like, one, I think Marcus Smart is a good leader, of a basketball team. You know what I mean? I look at Marcus Smart, I'm like, hey, that's the kind of guy you want to have in your locker room. But there are certain things that you're like, I can't get down with that. I just can't. I just can't.
Tatum was 100% feelings hurt. I will say it. You said he might have tweaked his shoulder. It might be a little sore or whatever. I think that was 0% sore. I think that was full blown like, I want my moment too, where I come out of the tunnel like Smart did. I really thought if that game goes to overtime, I was expecting to see Paul Pierce. And I don't mean to say that like it was seeing those guys come out of the locker room reminded me of Paul Pierce coming out of the wheelchair. I mean that if we had more time in that game, I really think present day Paul Pierce was going to go back in the locker room, put on his uniform, sit in a wheelchair, and wheel himself out.
For the moment,
just for the moment, just because it devolved in like a WWE deal where it's like the Royal Rumble. You have no idea who's coming out of the tunnel next.
Dude, that is how I felt watching the game. I was like, we're so far removed from the basketball that's being played that now we're just trying to use the emotions of this building to rally ourselves to a win. You know what I mean? That's what Marcus Smart's ultimate plan was. It was like, I'm going to go back. I am going to come back out. This is going to rally, TD Garden, and we're going to go win this game. And then he hit a three. As soon as Marcus Smart came back into the game, he hit a side step back three. That was like, I guess the ankle was great. And then it was like the momentum was rolling, the building is rolling. And then Tatum, they were down again late in the fourth when he went down. He was like, well, maybe if I do this, I'll get the same reaction as Marcus Smart. That'll shoot us back out with some more momentum. It was like all momentum plays. And I'm like, what are we doing? Like, can we like lock up on defense and try to get a stop? And then maybe the game will turn. So we got far away from the game and into the gamesmanship. And like you said, it's like WWE. And I mean, we like wrestling. Wrestling is entertaining. Our producer, Jim, is, a wrestling savant. We understand the heel turns and things like that are going to happen. And I just don't ever or always see it on the basketball court, especially in the playoffs. But we got a lot of it in Boston. Not done yet. we got 7 games of this series. I really do think that.
I need someone to build an algorithm to explain. Maybe they shouldn't even play the games, or I guess they should, but the results of these games don't matter because we should have an algorithm that explains the guys that are fully healthy and who are out because that's confusing too. That Smart comes back and Robert Williams came back for game 2, right? Robert Williams didn't play in game 1, but he did play in game 2. And when Smart and Williams come back, they destroy the Heat in Miami. And it's very clear at that point that the Celtics are the better team. I mean, it's obvious. Could not be more obvious.
Horford and Smart came back. It
was Horford and Smart came back. Robert Williams was already. See, this is why I need the algorithm, Tate. So they come back for game 2. Boston is fully healthy, or at least close to it. We realize after game 2 that the Boston Celtics are just the far superior team, and we have our answer. And this series is not going to go that long. And there we go. There we have it. Then we go to game 3. Jimmy Butler has his knee issue, which is also a little mysterious. And as soon as that game ends, he's playing tonight, right?
He said he's playing. He's warming up with the intent to play, is what they said. There's a lot of caveats with this whole
thing. Jimmy Butler goes out in game 3, and then the reports are like he's out for the game immediately, but also they don't think it's serious and they think he can come back for game 4. I'm like, how do you know that fast? That he's like definitely out for the rest of this game.
But dude, they're like resting and picking spots for guys. Both teams.
But then Butler's out and the Heat are up big. But then Tatum goes out and the Celtics start coming back without Tatum. But then Tatum comes back in. And what I'm saying, Tate, is that we need an algorithm because it's impossible to keep up with who's better without their best player. When their best player's back, are they what does this series look like? I guess are we ever going to see both teams at their best at the exact same time? I don't know. It seems like no.
But also, that is the current NBA way to get out of any situation. How do you kind of cover your bases if you lose nowadays? You say so-and-so was hurt or so-and-so was out. And that's how every single year that is the way. I mean, look at the Bucks right now. I mean, every single person's like, Chris Middleton was out. And fair enough. Checks out. You're like, can't say anything about the Bucks. This year doesn't count. Move on. And if you're the Miami Heat and let's say Jimmy Butler is 80%, you lose the series, in 7 at home, but Jimmy's 80%. There's your excuse, like when you move forward. And then if you're the Boston Celtics, you're like, what they had against the Bucks the entire time was Robert Williams was out. If Robert Williams was playing, we'd be winning this series. And now in this series, it's like, well, Smart's not 100%. Robert Williams isn't 100%. Tatum's not 100%. I'm sure Jaylen Brown's not 100%. But at the same time, Titus, when is there ever...
Kyle Lowry's not 100%.
Yeah, Jimmy Butler's not 100%. Tyler Hero's out of game 4.
Duncan Robinson is 100%.
Play the man.
Can we play the man?
He had a nice little floater in game 3, by the way. And
I had you know this, that our haters are louder than our fans, and that's okay. That's not disrespect. Haters are always louder. That's not disrespect. We love the friends of the program. We do. But just haters always find a way. That is one thing I've learned in this business is haters will find a way to be heard. And I had one of the haters, one of our many haters, reached out and connected the dots, Tate, that Duncan peaked as a NBA darling, superstar, et cetera, right around the time he came on our show. And I asked him about coronavirus in February of 2020.
Yeah.
And he said, it's nothing to worry about or whatever. I don't think that's what he said, but he's like, I don't know. I'm not exactly worried about it, I guess. And I forget what his answer was, but I remember.
I remember asking that question and laughing at how ridiculous the idea was. That like,
no, that's what I mean. Like I brought it up as a joke. I was like, I might as well have just like asked him about the price of tea in China. And instead I was just picking something that was absurd that I had seen in the news and asked him about it. And he was like, I don't know, not that worried. And one of our haters has pointed out to me that was the genesis of his quote unquote downfall. But then the man signed a $90 million contract after that. So I don't really think. I think his downfall is being overstated here.
Yeah, I think it was the start. I honestly think the downfall, let's just be honest about it. The downfall is when he signed a podcast deal with Tommy and JJ. That was the end, right? I mean, you can go look at the dots. You can connect them yourself, but that's as far as I can
get in bed with JJ Redick. You're gonna have something with you for the rest of your life.
Can we just say this? I mean, in an update on the JJ Redick curse, every game he's gone to, the team he's rooting for has lost, other than the Sixers in the playoffs. But he went to Game 3 in Boston. He was there. And the
was
Celtics
he really?
lost. Yeah, he was at the game, front row. And the Celtics lost.
God. I love the idea.
We gotta get him on the show. We have
to get him on the show. I love the idea of us having a rivalry with JJ.
I have no rivalry.
That's it. That's part of it too. I love the idea of us shitting all over JJ and being like, I like the guy, and I no ill will, honestly. Like I do think he's great. I think listening to him and Tim Legler talk about basketball is an absolute treat. I
what I want to do? Can we like challenge Tim Legler and JJ in a game of 21? I mean, we'll probably lose, but like, I like our chances. We got youth on our side, right? Like, I mean,
but it is like sort of a Jimmy Kimmel, Ted Cruz situation where like, if you're the one being challenged, you might as well just say yes, because like you never know what can happen.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like, because then if we win,
they're coming in with a lot of confidence and hubris, and I think that will be good for us. You know what I mean? Because they're gonna have a very low appreciation for my skills. They're gonna also be like, Titus was just a walk on, and then we're both gonna be hitting threes and shimmy in.
Are we playing? No, dude. You know what we do? We challenge them, but then we say it's Bob Cousy rules, and we get Bob Ryan to ref the game.
Yes.
And Bob Ryan, first of all, no 3-point lines.
No 3-point.
Number 2, which actually I take that back. That hurts me more than it hurts anybody else. That's all I can.
No, we'll take it out because then it throws JJ off too.
Okay. And then Bob Ryan is the ref because he's the one guy left in America that can pick out like what is an actual carry and a travel and all that.
Yeah.
Or he's not the one guy, but he's the guy best suited for that. That as soon as your hand goes underneath the ball, you're calling a carry.
Mm-hmm.
And we win because JJ would carry the ball every single time. And
he has 20 turnovers at least.
JJ tries his step back shit, sidestep, the Tatum shot. Like, dude, we've been going over the Celtics that we don't like, and I keep saying that I don't mind Tatum. Tatum pulling the with the shoulder, that's unforgivable to me. And then also, I'm starting to lose my mind watching him do the sidestep. But this isn't his fault. Again, he's just like playing within the framework of the rules. But the gather step, sidestep, Jason Tatum, like that whole like step back, that's also the side step.
Yeah, no, this first step is not a step because it's a gather step. And then you have 2 steps after that. So you really, what we would call a 3-step travel is now.
I actually might go crazy. Like I'm not kidding. I am old enough at this point, Tate, to watch all these step backs and gather steps happen that I stand up in my living room and yell at the TV. Like, how is this possible? Like how? Yeah. And then I get the freaking the blog boys of NBA Reddit that are like, no, dude, read the rules. It's a gather step, and then you get a +1. Everybody knows that.
I know that.
I'm like, I understand the rule, dude. We all understand the rule. I'm telling you, the rule is horrible. I'm telling you, this is not basketball. Fix the rule.
Fix the rules. It's also like there's no space to be able to get open, so that's why they have to put in these like little cheats. Like I saw a highlight of Giannis. And Giannis obviously travels. I mean, he spins, he stops, and then he takes an extra step to go through for the layup. But it's also like he has 3 people on him. He obviously got fouled. There was no foul. So it's like a lot of this, you're like, I guess the rules can't even persist because they're playing a different sport than what the rule like of the game actually were. And speaking of the step backs, Side note, I saw a Penny Hardaway interview on Forgotten Seasons, and Penny Hardaway, they asked him about his little spin move, step back three, that famous shot that everyone was going crazy about, and all these kids were practicing in their warm-ups and stuff. And Steven Jackson asked him, he was like, was that move something you practiced? He was like, I did that move one time, and I did it because it was instinct, and I had a guy who was trying to jump like the screen that was coming, so I basically led him into that, and then I spun back the other way, and then I hit the shot. He was like, but it wasn't like a move. I wasn't like, let me do this spin, step back, tween. You know what I mean? And then when you watch kids today, they're like, I'm gonna go tween, I'm gonna go in and out, then I'm gonna go. And you're like, that's not how basketball really works.
One-legged hezzy,
That's what drives me crazy about the Celtics, too, because, like, I see a lot of premeditated moves that have nothing to do. Like, Marcus Smart does this, too, where he's like, I'm going to go tween, then I'm going to go in and out, then I'm going to do that. And you're like, dude, just get open and hit the shot.
You can't script your offense.
No, there's a lot of scripters out there.
That out. It's Drew Hanlon, dude. That's the Drew Hanlon effect. That's the guy that's, like, doing all those wacko drills with these dudes that get them to you practice, like, two unstoppable moves, and they're unstoppable because they're cheating, Tatum.
Well, also,
of course it's unstoppable. If you give Jason Tatum 3.5 steps to make a move, of course the guy can get any shot off he wants and hit everything. And again, I'm not mad at Jason Tatum. I like Jason Tatum.
I have the stat for you.
We gotta fix this.
His 2 low scoring games in the playoffs where he's had 10 points or less. The next game he has had 30 points or more.
Oh, so he's gonna go nuts tonight, and he's gonna
go ahead and say congratulations, Jason Tatum, on your 36 points tonight and your big win in Boston, tied up going to Miami.
He's gonna go nuts, and we're gonna hear about how he's a top 5 player. And someone brought to my attention the comparison of Jason Tatum and Paul George, and I about broke my neck nodding so hard when I had that brought to my attention. I was just like, that's it. That's exactly it.
I'm pretty sure that like during the Ringer draft, during that draft when we did that, that was my shades of was Paul George.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Dude, it might have been you. It might have been.
I remember saying that and people were like, you're an idiot.
Well, to my point, earlier about how there's
a compliment. Like, is it?
Yeah, no, exactly. To my point earlier about there's the line, and you're the NBA Hall of Famer, or you're a scrub. Like in a lot of people's minds, Paul George is not a Hall of Famer. Which, by the way, he's going to be a Hall of Famer. Like that guy is good. If it's easy to get into the Basketball Hall of Fame, like I think he's gonna.
I agree.
I shouldn't say that because me saying he's definitely going to be sounds like I'm advocating for him. I don't care one way or another whether he gets in, but I feel like he's going to get in. Yeah. But no, there's like people think that Paul George is like, that's a bad comparison. And the guy was incredible. The guy had no help. He had zero help on the Indiana Pacers and took him to the Eastern Conference Finals.
I said the other day, a bunch of my
year
friends are Celtics fans, you know what I mean, that are out here. In fact, some of the guys that you saw with the AJ Moye jersey, about Celtics fans in that group, and they drive me insane with some of the stuff they say. But I said the other day that Tracy McGrady was heads and shoulders, in my opinion, better than Jason Tatum, and they lost their minds.
Facts. No, facts.
They lost their minds.
That's a fact.
And I'm like, did you guys not watch Tracy McGrady? Like, maybe I'm not saying Jason Tatum can't get to that level. He may get there. He's obviously winning at a higher clip, and whatever you want to say, he's been to however many conference finals. But what Tracy McGrady was doing was just a different thing.
We never. I don't remember growing up ever arguing on the at recess when I was 12 years old with other guys about how many conference finals players have gone to.
I know that's
get that out of here
that I live in. Yeah,
exactly. I don't need to hear about the conference finals that Jason Tatum has been to. I care about the eye test, and as we said, what I think.
Yeah,
that's what the eye test
means. That is my eye test. And you know what I also think?
Tracy McGrady's better
Vince
than Jason
Carter
Tatum.
played 22 years, the longest in the NBA. He should have been a top 75 player. And the reason why he's not is because people that do those conference finals talks have basically disrespected Vince Carter's entire career and dismissed it. And now people act like he's a bum. You know what I mean? Vince Carter's a better player than Jason Tatum. So is Tracy McGrady. I won't hear anything else. And maybe he gets there one day, but that's where I'm at.
This is horrendous timing on this, by the way, because Tatum's going to score 48 tonight.
I know. I just said that, but that's not going to change my opinion of Tracy McGrady or Vince Carter. That's for damn sure.
What do we solve? What do we solve this show? Get rid of the We got to clean up the traveling rules, because the reason I went on another traveling rant is that I do think I've been thinking about JJ Redick and Bob Cousy a lot. This is pretty much all I do in my free time, and because at a certain point, Tate, you realize who's on your side, and that makes you realize how insane you are. You know what I mean? So like listening to JJ Redick disrespect Bob Cousy made me realize what I sound like. And then I go back and I'm hammering film, dude. Like I've been on Synergy watching all the old Celtics. Okay. All the
shout out to Kuzi, man. Kuzi's got handle.
I do think this. I do think there is actual credibility in the argument. Now, I'm in no way, shape, or form arguing that Bob Cousy's better than Kyrie Irving. But however, Max Kellerman, I am arguing that if Kyrie played in Bob Cousy's era, he would get called for carry literally every single time.
Yeah.
Every single time. He would get called for a travel or a carry every single time he touched the basketball.
Dude,
and I think that's fair. And if you want to at least acknowledge that, we can acknowledge that and then say, but in spite of that, Kyrie is still miles better than Bob Cousy. And I'll agree with that. But you have to start there. You have to start with saying, yeah, part of the reason Bob Cousy looks like Stanley from The Office slapping the basketball, which is a criticism I gave of the guy.
Yeah.
These were my words. I said he looks like Stanley dribbling a basketball. Because of the different rules, Tate. It's different rules, different times. I'm like one of those people in politics that like flip sides, and then you become like the biggest star on the other side. You're like, this man used to be a Democrat, but then he saw the light.
Yeah,
let's have him on. Let's talk to him.
Converted. I also think if Kyrie went back and like took a step back, like mid-range jumper, they would pull him out of the game immediately. You know?
Yeah, that's true too. That's true too. Yeah, Imagine Kyrie drives to the basket. He's got a hand in his face, and he throws up one of his crazy finishes, and that puts the wicked spin.
They still take him out.
But like, this time, even though he makes it, Red Auerbach's pulling his ass and say, "Never do that again, dude."
Yeah, and he's like, "If you go take that shot, call bank."
Oh man. Any shout outs?
Oh man, I mean, there's a lot of things that happened this weekend. I want to shout out Justin Thomas. I don't know if you watched the PGA Championship, but Justin Thomas's caddy is Bones McKee, who was Phil's old caddy for a long time. And Phil obviously has a lot of drama. He won the PGA last year. He tried to form a coup against the PGA Tour.
Just a light coup. It was just a light coup.
So he didn't
real
play.
coup. It was just a
just a little coup. So he didn't play this week. But Bones ended up winning with Justin. He was on the bag for him, and it was it sucked that Mito Pereira choked at the end. He made a double in the last hole with the one-shot lead. But Justin Thomas, that was great. 5 years after he won, his grandpa was a PGA pro. His dad's a PGA pro. He wins the PGA major for PGA pros. So second major for him, and I love Justin Thomas. One of my favorite golfers, so I was pumped for that.
I've grown to really love Zalatoris. I don't know what it is about that guy, but I
Wake Forest legend. Yeah. He played with one of my buddies at Wake. Yeah, great guy.
Watching him go through the rules of that one. What was that, 6? Was that on hole 6 when he?
Yeah, he was like, "I have another question."
Yeah, he just asked a question.
It felt very much like the teacher talking to a student, and the student like didn't know how to like address a situation. He's very.
It also kind of underscores how insane golf is that the players themselves don't even come close to knowing all the rules. Like imagine any other sport where the players are like, I don't know. Like the ref blows a whistle in basketball and does the traveling motion, and the player's like, "You're gonna have to explain that one to me. So what does this mean?" The ref's like, "So when you had your foot down, but then you drug your foot, like that's a." Player's like, okay, I have another question.
It's kind of like defensive 3 seconds in the NBA. It happens on every play until they call it, and then everyone's like, "Wait, what?" And then they stop for like a few possessions, and then they immediately are back to doing it again. You know what I mean? You're like, I guess that is a rule that we have. Yeah.
What is the most confusing rule that nobody knows in basketball, but everyone?
Ooh. I think backcourt, right? That's Seth
backcourt
Davis.
Does feel that. Yes, Seth Davis taught me that, dude. We watching the TCU Arizona game where he was arguing that what the hell was that? And then Draymond got his tech for that. They called. Yeah. I mean, I think the ref just didn't see it right, but Draymond that wasn't backcourt. He got called for backcourt's a good one. I think backcourt is I think the other one that's confusing.
I mean, obviously traveling, right? I mean, no one knows.
No one knows what traveling is.
Really, I have no idea. I watch these Ball is Life videos. Like this is like my social experiment. I watch a Ball is Life video. It'll be like travel or nah ? And then the music starts playing, and it's like this guy. He takes a dribble at the 3-point line. The ball's bouncing in the air. He runs underneath it, and then he catches it and he dunks it. And then they're like, travel or nah. And I'm like, definitely in travel, right? Like, has to be travel. Then I look at the comments like, nah. No. Cold. So traveling. No one knows what traveling is.
They put up a clip of just a running back carrying the football.
That'd be great. They put Adrian Peterson running through the hole, travel or nah.
Like, no, that's a gather step. Like the man just ran 100 yards for a touchdown. Like, no, it's
gather.
What was I saying? I forget what I was.
I don't know. You asked me the rule. The most.
Oh, the rule. Another rule is air balls. This one got me. So in the NBA, did you know this? If you airball a shot and get your own rebound, it is travel. But in basically every other level of basketball, it's not. It used to be when we were growing up, but now they changed it to where if you do like a real shot, it's up to the ref's discretion. If you're taking like a real shot and it looks like a real shot and it was an actual attempt at a shot and it was an air ball and you grab your own rebound, it's my understanding that at the high school and college level, it's not a travel anymore necessarily. But if you pass it to yourself, it is, and then there's like the hazy gray area of what's the difference. But at the NBA level, it is still 100% a travel if you airball and get your own rebound.
Yeah,
I find that to be a little confusing.
Because I find that also like kind of disingenuous, I guess, a little bit, because like if you do shoot an air ball but you follow your shot and you get your own shot, like I feel like you can't, like if a ref called a travel after I took a 3 and it was like really short and I got underneath it and caught it and then laid it in, they were like travel, I'd be pretty shitty.
Yeah, I would be too. I would be too.
Like I just ran and did all that effort. You know what I mean?
I would definitely say I have another question. So what? Say that again. Walk me through this one again.
Yeah. Or I'd say peace. Like the guy got a piece of it.
Yeah.
Peace. I will say that's the best thing. Like if you're a young kid watching the Celtics or the Heat, you can learn a lot about how to manipulate a game. You know what I mean? Like every single time Jason Tatum drives, he goes back to the ref and is like,
yes, dude. Every time there's a whistle in the Celtics Heat, and really every NBA playoff game, every time there's a whistle, someone's bitching to the rest about it. But you saying peace. Here's another tip for the youngsters out there playing pickup basketball. As you're closing out on a jump shooter, even if you don't block it, but if it's like a good closeout, just say peace out loud. And then what happens is there's two. It's a two-pronged thing here, Tate. Your teammates will then crash the boards harder because they think if it's going to go out of bounds on you, like they got to save the ball. So they're going harder. They're going harder to go get the rebound. But number 2, now you're in the guy who shot its head that you just blocked a shot and he didn't even realize it. He's like, well, that felt good coming off my hand. But you got a piece. He's like, damn, dude. Now you're in his head. Now that's psychological warfare. So just say peace. Like, don't do it on the first jump shot. Do it on like the second one. The guy shoots. Close out. Get a good closeout and then just say peace as he shoots it. And
Marcus Smart does that for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
There's no doubt. That's how he won Defensive Player of the Year. They're like, he deflects everything.
All the Boston sports writers in the Garden were just tracking how many times he said peace.
They're like, Marcus touched 90 balls tonight. Got a piece of 90 shots. You're like, what?
Oh man. I have some shout outs myself. I want to shout out. I have 2 shout outs. Number 1, it's my mother's birthday today. Laura Legend is in the Purdue Basketball Hall of Fame. Her face is in Mackey Arena. If you go to Mackey Arena and you're a friend of the program, you have 2 assignments. Every true friend of the program knows they have 2 assignments if you're going to a game at Mackey Arena. Number 1 is to go visit the restrooms.
Yes.
Take a trip to the restrooms and soak in all their luxurious glory. And number 2 is go find my mother on the Legends of Mackey Arena list. But yeah, my mom's birthday's today, and I wanted to wish her happy birthday, Tate. She's become like I talk about her a lot on the show, but she's never been on the show. She listens to every show though. She'll listen to a show and send me notes. I love that about her.
I like that.
Yeah. She has thoughts on, she sent me, I sent you the text. We did the hymn, the hymnist of all time.
Yeah.
And she sent me a long paragraph about her thoughts on where Jesus should rank on the hymn. And it was like, obviously he said, I'm the way, the truth, and the light. So that's very much
very him.
That's very him move. But also he has become like the greatest example of humility that has ever existed in the world. So like that doesn't feel like, is he a him or is it
he's a
humility? He's a humility. And she sent me this long paragraph, like breaking it down. And I didn't have the heart to just be like, Mom, we're just fucking around.
No, I really appreciate it. I think we did say that we had Jesus top 5. And
we did have Jesus top 5.
I think I said at the top that my number 1 hymn was God. So, I mean, I think hopefully Laura Legend.
Thinking back on it, maybe that just explains Andrew Wiggins' problems with how he's perceived by NBA media, is that he's never once said I'm him. And if he just came out and said I'm him, no one would accuse him of being passive anymore. And
everyone's like, the guy thinks he's him.
Yeah. Maybe that's it. Yeah. Is Andrew Wiggins the greatest basketball player of all time to never once say the words I'm him, either in private or during a game? because there are a lot of guys that are mild mannered, but are also saying I'm him. I really feel like Andrew Wiggins.
Bam was the most recent one because Bam's a pretty nice, like, quiet kid, and for Bam to be him Adebayo, I think they should have just done it Ham. You know what I mean? Like Ham Adebayo. Like,
I'm Ham.
I'm Ham.
Who did Wake Forest? Did you see that tweet that Wake Forest they're them? What is happening? The whole thing's evolving. They had their it was Laravia and Londus Williams, right? Those are their two guys that are at the draft combine. And the Wake Forest basketball count said they're them. I was like, what's that? Anyway, happy birthday, Mom. I know you're listening to this like 4 days later. That's the other thing. She listens to like every show like a week and a half after the fact. And like I've moved on.
Which honestly might be fun because it's like you just see the things that we're talking about that you already know the outcomes. You're like, what are these guys even talking about?
She's just now filling out her bracket based on my picks from our bracket show in March.
She's like, go Kentucky.
Yeah. What could go wrong? Kentucky. You really seem to like Kentucky, Mark. I can't wait to see what happens there.
Can I shout out you, by the way, quickly? Speaking of predictions and your Kentucky prediction, you went on Part of My Take. Shout out to those guys. And they asked you what was going to happen in the NBA playoffs. Very tough question. A lot of
tough question.
We know what the whiplash is.
A lot of either-or games out there.
A lot of either-or games. You said Warriors sweep, right? Which we're on track right now, 3-0. And you said Miami was going to win.
I said Miami would be up. So they asked me just what would be the case
by the time it came out, right?
Yeah, which is today. And I said Miami would be up 2-1 and the Warriors would sweep.
Bang.
And you won't hear the haters talk about that.
Exactly. In a world where the haters want to bring up predictions that we get wrong, bring up the ones that we get right. So shout out to you, Mark.
Oh, dude, the haters will still remind me that I picked Virginia to win the title when they lost to UMBC. And they won't ever once mention that I rode with Virginia the year after too. And I went down with the ship. They were losing at halftime to Gardner Webb, and I still was like, I'm going down with the ship. Let's go. And you know what would have happened if Virginia lost to Gardner Webb in back-to-back years? They lose to a 16th seed. You know what I would have done the next year? I would have
rode them again.
I would have said Virginia's winning the national title.
Because let's be honest, like if those three guys lost to a 16 again, they would have come back to their senior years. Yeah. What would have happened?
My other shout out is I want to shout out myself again, but not really me, but our people at Fox. I'm shouting this out because it's hilarious, but also. All of our crew at Fox, Charlotte Wilder, Jim Cunningham, Thomas Mason. I think was Chris involved? Jim, was Chris involved? Our director, Chris, that does our show.
Chris who? No.
Jim.
Chris is on the list as well. We had a whole team at Fox Sports. We did this college football tour last fall. I think we're doing it again this year. I don't know. I guess we'll know more after tomorrow because Tate, we were nominated to win a sports Emmy.
All this.
The ceremony is. So it's on Tuesday. So everyone listening to this, it's probably tonight. So listen, I don't even know how you watch it. I'm not going. It's in New York. And when I found that out, I was like, please no, I want no part of that.
Send it back to New York.
Also, we're up against I don't even know what category we're up against. I don't even know what our category is. It's like best digital, God knows what, like best like hunting of an albino squirrel or something is who the hell knows? Worst host.
Good job, Jim.
Thanks, Jim. Shout out Kristen Scott Hurley. She was on she was there's a lot of other people I need to shout out there on the Fox team, but we're up against Nickelodeon Slime, Tate. The slime from the Nickelodeon NFL game. They were also nominated.
That's tough. That's like whoa. That's like when you get nominated and you got like Denzel or like someone like that, and you're like, I'm not gonna win.
So the reason I want to shout it out is like for this moment in time, we're still riding the high of being nominated for an Emmy. And the next time you hear my voice, I will have lost an Emmy to Slime.
But the thing is, nominated is all.
I'm in the conversation.
All you need is nominated, and that is the ultimate in the conversation because then you put on your resume forever nominated for an Emmy.
It is 100%, and I can say this now because I think they've already decided the winner. I don't want to say it after they announced the nominees because then I felt like it would have affected our chance of winning. It's very stupid that we're nominated in the sense. Like everyone worked hard and everyone else on the crew deserves it, but like the idea that I was nominated for like going gator hunting and chasing albino squirrels for it's all very dumb. It's all like it's still hilarious. Yeah, and it's sports media, and like I feel like they give an Emmy to everybody, but at the same time. I've never been nominated for an Emmy before, so I'm like, I don't know, this would be kind of sick, I guess. So anyway, I want to shout out our crew more than anything else because
shout out to the crew.
I hope they win. Because the best case scenario is like we win and we somehow only get like 5 trophies and they send it to everyone else. So I was involved and I don't get one. I do not deserve one.
I dealt with that firsthand. I mean, Bill Simmons podcast won 2 Emmys or 2 Webbies, and then I got my Webbies 2 years later. I didn't even know I had a trophy. I didn't even know that they were going to give me a trophy. And then Bill was like, I got your trophy. I've had your trophy.
Webby. Yeah.
It's in my house. I was like, what?
Right next to your Peloton.
Yeah.
I keep it next to the Peloton and the set of golf.
I've been waiting for you to ask for it. You're like, what?
And the brand new set of golf clubs that House got for you that Callaway. Anyway, Jim Cunningham might win an Emmy, so be prepared for that, America.
I'm excited.
That could
if he does win an Emmy, does he leave our show? That's the real
Jim,
question.
give your acceptance speech now. Give the people the acceptance speech now. What's a
good one?
It's about time. It took so goddamn long.
This was the
dope. A lot of people were asking Jim how he's going to react.
2 months ago that I won an Emmy like 5 years ago.
Wait, what?
With the 30 for 30 shorts that I was working on, we got an Emmy. I didn't even know, and I had worked on the.
Jim and I were in the production. No one told me. You win awards and no one cares. No one will. No
I
one.
already won one. I didn't even know it. I'm about the art, man. It's not about the awards, man.
What's hilarious, Tate, is like what we're nominated for is 100% because of the production side. Like the reason our show was nominated is because the undertaking. Yeah, like the undertaking of our production team. The undertaking of our production team going on a Wednesday to Sunday schedule of flying across the country to football games, producing like the insane amount of content they produced and and edited and all that sort of thing. That's the reason we were nominated, just like the bulk of what that was. That's why I don't think I deserve an award, because I just kind of showed up and did whatever. But I forgot to mention too that this was the tour that Jim, the famous story of Jim getting kicked out of the Ohio State suite. So
in my mind,
he deserves an award for that.
I
like to think that's why you got nominated. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was a great segment. That was a great.
What
moment.
if I win? I go up for the speech, and then that lady kicks me off the stage.
Dean Smith grabs you.
Yeah, awesome. By the way, that Nickelodeon slime MVP, there's no way we're gonna beat that.
We're not beating the slime. There's no way we can beat the slime. In fact, if we do beat the slime,
we're also against Mount Everest.
What?
Where it's like somebody actually like filmed climbing Mount Everest and like we were like looking for.
You just gotta see the montage video. You know, like when they cut and they throw the nominations, you need to see what they have of you guys. You know what I mean? You need to see what the 25 seconds are, because like it's gonna suck if it's you guys drinking beer at a live show, and then the next guy is like climbing Mount Everest. You're like, whoa.
We win the Emmy, and Nickelodeon, like Danny Tamborelli from Figure It Out and Pete and Pete. He comes on the stage and takes the award from us and does the Kanye, and he's like,
Beyonce, yeah, the Mount Everest.
Let you finish, but Mount Everest had one of the greatest digital
innovation in the last decade.
And then he has his mermaid tattoo dance on his arm.
Oh yeah, that was right. That was
Petunia.
Yeah. That's right. Danny Tamborelli had the mermaid dance. All right, that's enough show, I think. Any other shout outs, Jim? Do you have a shout out?
No, just myself for the Emmys. That's about it, I think.
Nice.
I love the idea of us. That's a good bit for us, is we just shout out ourselves.
Every show you shout.
Every show. We shout out ourselves.
We're shout
outs. All right, that's the show. Congratulations to the Boston Celtics on tying the series up tonight. I'll shout out the NHL playoffs. They've been insane. I found myself flipping over to hockey a lot as these NBA games get turned into blowouts. I've been watching a lot of hockey tape. So maybe one of these.
Avalanche Blues is the series to watch, because Binnington, the fact that this whole cadre, Binnington, did they do a dirty play? Did they knock him out? Now Binnington's out for the rest of the series, and the Blues finally looked like they had stopped the Avalanche. That's fascinating. Obviously, I'm a Hurricanes guy, so I'm excited for the Hurricanes.
I love the battle for Alberta. That's been awesome to watch. Calgary and Edmonton, two of my favorite Canadian cities. Both of them are in the top 10 for sure.
Edmonton is who the Canes played in the Stanley Cup in 2006 when they won, and I went to Game 5. And the Edmonton fans, man, I've never seen anything like it.
Oh,
I was
crazy.
so intimidated. I mean, obviously the Hurricanes fans are crazy, but these Canadians, they're not,
Edmonton. I've been to Edmonton and Calgary both on a road trip I did like a few years ago. Calgary's like my favorite city in Canada. I don't know. There's just something about it I really loved. I really enjoyed it. But also when I went to Edmonton, I realized I went to Edmonton after Calgary, and I realized very quickly that everybody in Edmonton thinks that everyone in Calgary is a pussy. Like
that's like
that was my big takeaway. Yeah. Like that was like the Edmonton is like the real salt of the earth, blue collar people that are like, and the Calgary is all the people that wear designer jeans and go to Banff National Park and like don't ever leave the blacktop, but take their pictures next to mountains.
Yeah.
Like those are the Calgary types, but also full disclosure, I'm probably more of a Calgary guy.
I mean, I like both sides. You know what I mean? But
I respect Edmonton.
Both of us can hang out on both sides, which is why that's
a lot of great people on both sides. I agree too. All right, that's the show. We'll see you guys on Friday. All right, we'll see you Friday.